This episode may contain explicit language not suitable for all audiences.
Right when I decide that I'm going to do this full time, I'm like, hey, sports will never end. And then here comes COVID.
Right.
I'm talking to an agent. At the time, it was Merrill Reese's agent, who was just a lawyer. But I finally got on the phone. I got somebody to listen to me.
Right.
And I told them all the things that I'm doing. At this point, I had 3 shows that I had like trying to get funding for.
Like podcasts?
Yeah.
Not podcasts. I was doing, like, for instance, I was going into people's homes and filming their man cave. So, and it was called Philly Fan Caves. And I would go to their house and I'd film their fan cave, talk to them about different pieces that they had in there, have an interview with them and show their cave and kind of then put it all together and make it a show. Figured that I could do 2 caves a day or 2 caves an actual show. It would make for a half-hour show. You know, that's 10-minute to 12-minute spots. And
Cool. And you had 2 other shows you were working on?
well, the other things I was doing was I was doing like tailgate interviews. So like I would go to different sections and find what's going on at this tailgate. And I would find the person who led that tailgate and interview them all on my phone. Me like literally holding my phone like this and doing that and showing everybody like what's going on at their tailgate and things like that. And doing that. And in the process of that, I would also do opposing fan interviews. So like in between going from tailgate to tailgate, I would find an opposing fan and I would ask them a few questions about their team, where they came from, all this other stuff, and bust their balls.
My instincts are, and I've been wrong already in this interview, but my instincts are that worked the best of the 3.
Yes and no. I produced it wrong. Had I, knowing what I know now, I would produce it much differently. I made it long form. So it was only on YouTube. And
short form.
Yeah. So I at the time I didn't understand the differences. So it was like, oh, it's on YouTube. It's too long to try to put on there. Where am I going to cut this? And I wouldn't, like I said, knowing what I know now, there were so many great takes that I could absolutely have cut it into short form and send people over to YouTube and would have probably gotten many more followers.
Yeah.
But had to learn that, because the guys that said that they were going to teach me how to do all this stuff never really taught me anything. It's just I'm learning on the fly. I'm thrown to the wolves and
And it's the best way to learn social media. I mean, it's why we started this endeavor. Steve and I have both been in marketing our entire careers, about 20 years apiece. But we ultimately were like, the best way to really understand the nuances and everything that goes into successful social media content is to throw ourselves into it as a practitioner. And so that's how we got to be doing this. So, okay, you had the 3 different shows. You're talking to Merrill Reese's lawyer. And were there any specific insights that came out of that meeting?
So literally he's like, let's talk next week. I'm interested in what you've got going on. Now, this guy's like 80 some years old. He's not really keen on social media, but the things that I'm telling him is making sense. So it's like, okay, you know what? I'm interested to hear what you got to say. You know what I mean? So I'll have this talk. That was on like March 11th. March 15th, the world ends.
Yeah, sure.
The world stops. And I remember sitting there going, now what am I going to do? Like, I don't know what to do now. The money that I had saved up and working this business is just about gone. And now the world just came to a screeching halt. Everybody's just staying in their house and doing whatever. And I'm like, all right, well, what do I do now? Like I did, it's like, I was like, well, maybe now's the time to try to double down. And I was talking to the production studios still, and they were like, this is where you have to start to get unique with your content. You have to start to figure out different things. And it was when I started to learn how to play with different cameras and phones. And I created I remade the scene as a parody of Fight Club.
Yeah.
Where he's talking, where Tyler Durden's talking to Tyler Durden.
Right.
Where
The
he's
multiple
talking,
personalities.
exactly.
And,
And literally remade that scene as Jamie and the Philly sports guy. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So it was learning some of that. And
Did it pop, Jamie?
no, again, that failed miserably. It's so funny because you
what
can
did
go
that
back.
mean
It's,
failed miserably? Like
maybe 75 to 100 people saw it.
okay.
Like it may have even now, like maybe under 1,000 views. Like
I wonder if we can resurrect it for you now.
Well, I've thought about bringing it back up. There's so many things now that looking back at that, I was still uncomfortable with. Like I was uncomfortable yelling or talking to my phone. I was uncomfortable doing the things I was doing. And you could see some of that in there. Like I just, like you could tell I was like reading off of cue cards. I was like, I could do it so much better now.
Yeah.
Now that I know.
I mean, and this is day to day though. I mean, we posted a piece of content yesterday and 5 minutes after we're like, we could have done so much better. Duh.
Right.
It was a fucking duh moment. And so every day we're learning and there's
Correct.
So many nuances, arguably every second counts, at least the first 10 seconds, which platform, did you do it right for that platform? And I don't want to jump ahead too much, but are you managing your own social and are you doing it across every platform?
Yes.
So now you've gotten quite skilled at it then.
I have. So what COVID taught me, and I went back to just my natural marketing roots. Like it's just like I'm good with names. I'm good with coming up with a name for something to get people to go. I've always felt, and back in one of the previous lifetimes that I did, not only was I sleeping out for tickets, but I was also throwing parties, throwing raves at the time. Raves.
Wow.
So, and throwing a rave is, great until you get busted and then,
designer drugs and yada, yada, yada.
That's exactly correct. And, I got busted and then I worked for a catering company because, when you're good at throwing parties that everybody goes to, legal parties or, big parties like that are called weddings,
Right.
So I worked at a catering company and learned all of that type of stuff and getting all that stuff together. And really all that did was teach me how to deal with people again in a different way and things like that. And so ultimately is, now moving forward, I went back to, like I said, my marketing roots.
Yeah.
All right. Never assume that anybody knows exactly what it is that they're watching. So
that's a great one. Wow, I love that tip
So
right there
you gotta-
Because I think we do that, right? We assume that people are inside of our heads, but
well, also,
Right?
and but Instagram and TikTok in particular are trying to show your content to more and more people who don't know who you are. So
That's
it becomes
right.
even more critical as they move away from the subscriber-based algorithms that just are trying to cater to your subscribers and move to like who that you don't know cares about this content. So that's actually a golden insight.
Right. And that was one of the things that it was like, I have to get their attention right away. So that's where like, it was like, all right. And so that's what I'm going to do. Every time I start any video, what's up, everybody? Philly sports guy here.
and you have the makeup.
Yep.
So like instantly, visually and audio, right?
Yeah. Because I'm yelling,
You're
what's
yelling.
up, everybody?
You are the hook.
Philly sports
Your
guy
face
here.
is the
And
hook.
this is what I'm doing, and here I am doing this and blah, 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 blah.
So when you started doing that, did you notice changes in your data?
So there were certain things that occurred. People would start watching. My numbers started to tick up a little bit more. I'd always end with the again.
Tag.
I needed the close, and I didn't know what else to do. So it's just like, go birds, yeah. You know what I mean? Like just like you had to do that, and that actually finally hit home when I was talking about somebody who wound up having like a heart attack at a bar. Like, and I was there at the bar and I'm sitting there and it kind of moved me a lot. And I'm talking about that and I'm like, yeah, he didn't have to die. Go birds. Yeah. And it was hysterical to a lot of people because it was such a moving moment. And I'm like, I'm still ending Go Birds, yeah.
Wait,
You know what I
did
mean?
you give this guy his last rights?
No, I didn't.
What it was?
No, but it was just an awkward moment. And like you said, when you watch somebody have a heart attack in front of you, it brings out the human side of everything. I wasn't painted up or anything, and I did this whole little thing. And and like I said, the first thing I heard was from the owner of the bar that I live above, and my landlord actually. He's like, dude, like, I understand how moving that piece was, but you saying you didn't have to die, Go Birds, yeah, was the funniest thing I think I've heard all day. I
think producer Jim's peeing his pants right now.
And it's just, it was like, but it just solidified that it was like, hey, that's my close. Go Phillies, let's go Flyers, go Sixers, go Union, go Birds. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that at the end of that, it just because of that, it makes it's just that slight uptick, even for something as bad as talking about somebody who just had a heart attack. You know what I mean? And trying to bring out the human side of everything. And then and it was just kind of natural. It was just like, Go Birds, yeah.
Well, that's like your energy, right? You're almost like the guy.
You're like the
you bring the to the events you go to. I don't know if it worked the same for me and Steven.
No, but Mr. Kool-Aid has got nothing on your right?
Well,
the Kool-Aid
that's,
man.
Oh yeah. You can't steal somebody else's stuff.
Right.
You know what I
You
mean?
just get rid of the
So
Go Birds. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the was just kind of natural. Like, it was just like the easy way to be able to end anything. Like, that's what I mean. That's what I'm
It's
talking
uplifting.
about.
It's fun. Like, I want to be part of it.
Exactly. And that was kind of
the
how
inflection of your voice makes it welcoming.
But I still didn't have any tags. Like, that wasn't enough. I had a beginning and an end. I didn't have things that people could latch onto. And I'm a sayings guy. Like, I'm one of those guys that, like, I will quote somebody, like,
So you have like Jamie-isms
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, I
like what?
like the first Jamie-ism that I had is that, like, the 3 rules of the Philly sports guy. I don't curse, I don't sit down, and I don't shut up. You're stuck with me. And that's the rules that I go by at a game.
Yeah, you don't curse. You don't
Yeah,
curse
why
at
don't
the
you
bars,
curse?
the games.
No. I mean, you heard me curse a couple times here, obviously, but
Well, that's what we do.
I was in the Navy. Of course, I know how to effing curse. You know what I mean? But at the games, there's too many kids around, and I don't drink at the games, and I don't curse at the games, and I look at this like a job. You know what I mean? There's too many kids that are looking at me.
But they're looking up to you.
Well, I didn't look at it that way. I do now.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was just like, I am going to be the one looking at myself in the mirror. I'm going to be the one that sets the example. And especially in Philly, because you can't tell somebody not to curse.
Right.
But, one curse is okay. You say once, you drop the F-bomb once, okay. Drop it twice, you can let it slide. You start doing it all the time, I'm going to turn around and be like, yo, there's kids around.
Right.
At that point, if that person says anything back to me, I've already got the 100 other people
that are stadium behind
that are now already wanted him to stop, but were afraid to say something. And I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who's going to be the one that actually lets you know, hey, listen, there's kids around. If you got a problem, bring it on then. You know what I mean?
I got to be honest. I think it's brilliant, actually, because if you're the ultimate fan, you're leading by example, and it shows that fandom doesn't need cursing and, I don't know, unnecessary hate.
Yeah.
Right. And you had mentioned earlier that your knowledge of the game sounds like is what you lead with if you're yelling at the game.
Correct.
Because technical stuff.
People would ask me, and it happened at the Saints game or like a number of other football games, and people would ask me sitting next to me, like, hey, you're just going to let him curse at you like that? I'm like, yeah, once they start cursing at me, I've won. Because they can't.
They brought it down that level. That's all they got.
The banter, they don't have it anymore. I mean, I can undress somebody and make them look foolish without having to curse at them
Yeah.
at all. And truth of the matter is like the Eagles are not my mom. I don't have to defend their honor. You know what I mean? And so I tell people all the time, like when people are afraid to come to Eagles games, I'm like, listen, it's not as bad as people say it is. But I tell you, if you don't engage an asshole, you don't have to become one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my Jamie-isms. You know what I mean? It's just like if you don't invest any time to the guy who's being an idiot,
Right.
then
Don't pay him no
there
money.
isn't any problem.
So I want to point something out, and then I want to get back to your Jamieism hooks that I think you're embedding in your content, which I think is really important. But this reminds me of the conversation we had with Wes from Feeding Time TV. He's a very prominent food influencer in Philly. And there's a lot of food influencers in Philly. He's just got a lot more followers than most of them.
Right.
And honestly, when you really strip down what's going on there, other than a genuine passion, he's a student of the game and he's not a chef for a living. Right. So he has a corporate job, but he knows food like a professional chef and can get really deep in technique. Doesn't always come through in his videos, but if you push him or if you have a conversation with him, it comes through really quick how well he knows the craft. And I'm picking up something similar here. And so for aspiring creators, it might be an obvious or almost lazy sounding thing to say that like you should become a student of the game, but it certainly worked for you. It certainly worked for Feeding Time TV. And I think, otherwise that's how you become just moderate and vanilla is if you don't put that effort in and ascend through knowledge and expertise.
Yes. Like the first rule that I would tell people is first got to go out and do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it. Be present and figure it out. Like it doesn't matter that you suck.
And I think something else, right? Like you had mentioned it earlier, is if you're not embarrassed by your first product, then you've waited too long. You were just mentioning, you look back at your old videos and, I wish I would have done this. But people are paralyzed by that right there.
I would love to show some of this stuff, but I'm like, no. Yeah. Like, no. I could take my stuff and probably cut it down and give little bits and pieces that would probably be really funny. But I feel like
but you're about what's next, right?
Exactly.
Fine, that's behind us. Great.
Correct.
What's next?
Yeah.
So did I overstate it, or are your Jamie-isms part of what you incorporate through the content that you think is making it more sticky?
Well, that it becomes part of the Jamie-isms that I use that other people start to use.
Like,
of course, I stole this from Rocky, but I didn't hear no bell.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just saying that, like, we got, it's the 9th inning, but I didn't hear no bell. This game ain't over yet.
Good, because it's also an homage to the city,
right?
In addition to just being clever.
Correct. It's and it's pumping. It's like it's like hearing the bell,
right?
Like that bell that they show on third down or like in the 9th inning and stuff like that. It just kind of, if you're from Philadelphia, you know that sound of the bell, and it makes your hair stand up just that little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That was one of the big ones that I did. Interestingly enough, that's what caused the next one. So my best videos and most viral videos typically deal with losses, because I put myself out there a whole bunch and somehow, some way we wound up losing. Like the first one that really went mega viral was, Game 5, Sixers versus Atlanta, and we're up by 18 points going into the fourth quarter. And there was so much weird that happened that day. Like I didn't get in until just about halftime. Here it is. I'm in the stadium. I'm at the third quarter, and I'm doing my video. It's the end of the third quarter. I'm like, it's fourth quarter, and we're up by 18 points. Ain't no way we're losing this one. We're going to put a dagger in all Atlanta Hawks fans. Let's go, man. Sixers. Yeah. They lost that game. And I remember going to my father's the next day, and I'm like, maybe I got away with this. There's only like 25,000 people that saw it. And at the time, I would have my phone ding like every 5,000 views. And then it was like, I'm sitting there and I'm talking to him. It's like, ding, ding, ding. He's like, what the hell is dinging? I'm like, here, let me lower this down a little bit. Ding, ding, ding,
That's
ding,
5,
ding.
10, 15, 20. Wow.
Wound up getting like, well, they talked about it on WIP. I remember like somebody let me know that they were talking about it. I called in and I'm like, yeah, I'm the guy that did this. And that's when they first, they
Mushed
said,
it.
they're like, oh, you are a professional fan? Like you're for hire? Like, yeah, like if you want me to come,
I'll send you my rate sheet.
yeah, birthdays and whatever. Like
Bar mitzvahs, you name it.
but I also do public speaking,
Mm.
so it was like, that was also part
of
of
it.
what I was looking to do. Wasn't quite incorporated yet. Like having
Like corporate gigs? Like motivational corporate gigs, public
corporate, I had schools. So like, I also do stuff about bullying. Like it's, I feel that, and maybe we can touch on this to be able to finish the story because there's so much that goes along with that.
I'd like to
part
get back
either.
to that. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole different world that's involved with that part. But that was part of my initial gig.
Jamie, this Atlanta Hawks moment, or after the game, they lost the series. Were they out of the playoffs?
They
in
lost
game?
that. Well, not from that game. They lost the series ultimately.
Right.
But that game wound up being like, I just remember it's like, oh my God,
Was that your biggest clip ever to that time?
no.
Okay. I'm curious if we could actually go back. What was your biggest breakthrough clip where you like first hit 1 million? Do you remember what it was?
So it was at the Eagles versus Tampa Bay. And I did we're down by 17, but I didn't hear no bell. This game ain't over yet. And that video went on further. The very next video that you see from me is me walking outside the stadium and saying, so the season is over, and going into that, like just saying, hey, that they were just too strong of a team, whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody we're down by 17, but I didn't hear no bell. This game ain't over yet. And then cut
Splice
to
it.
the next one and said, so the season is over. And that video wound up getting like 20 million views.
Wow.
Like,
on which platform?
On TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It was like
Just collected.
just
went nuts.
views everywhere. Everybody from TikTok started to use that soundbite. Like, so.
Oh, you were an audio sound.
Like, so people like, and it's so funny watching a girl like have my voice and do that.
She's putting on makeup and,
Or whatever.
doing her eyelashes.
Like to go on a date. Like that's what was.
Yeah,
like they're going on a date, and then the guy would like show some like say Snapchat or whatever, and be like, "Oh, date's not happening. Oh, so
Or it
season
wasn't
is
good.
over.
Season is over.
Wow. Did that video change your life?
That video is what actually I feel like put me really on the map.
And somebody stitched it together.
Somebody
somebody
else
else?
stitched it and thought that
Wow.
it was just going to be something that would go mega, mega viral. And it did.
And it did.
And it did. And it's, and then people would go back and watch the actual video because everybody wants to see how does this, what's the full thing?
Right. Well, what happened in between? Like
Right.
there's a giant cliffhanger.
Right. Exactly.
Right
like, it's
there.
like, oh, well, and really I was all hype. And then I was like, hey, just congratulations to Tampa Bay.
It goes to show that you've reigned different emotions.
And what that did was it solidified me as different than the Philly fan mantra that
you weren't lighting a cop car on fire. You.
I was not. I congratulated the Buccaneers for winning that game and so on and so forth. And it was like, okay, that is, they're now showing him as a human being. Like, hey, that we're not, I'm not going to be that guy. You know what I mean? So
It's easy to be that guy.
well, everybody's that guy.
Exactly.
I mean,
It's easy.
that's what you see so much
Sure.
of. I was just not going to be that guy. So it was hard to do. Those are not easy moments to take because at that time, now everybody else has got cameras too, and everybody wants to stick a camera in your face.
Right.
They want me to be the one
Or
who's,
5.
be nuts. They want me to act like every other Eagles fan or Philadelphia fan that they think is. And I'm just not that way. I'm like, hey, listen, you guys played a great game. What can you say? And then
Think it's
people are
helping
like,
you.
they're like, wow, okay, awesome. And then they still post it because it's still me. You see that I am not excited. but it's
because
You're not
the
an asshole
realness,
as well.
Right.
authenticity, and subject matter expertise trump just emotion that's ginned up, and the emotion you do gin up is authentic at the time, but you don't put it on constantly just to be, I don't know. When things are down, you're not going to go overboard and start throwing stuff because you think it might go viral. You're going to give an honest take and a legitimate perspective.
Yes. And I'll tell you, 2022 was a tough year for that. Because ultimately, up to that point, like we weren't in championships, so it's like every game that year was the very last game of the season and we lost. So it's like, hey, I'm doing these games and we're winning and we're winning and we're winning, and Phillies are in the playoffs and stuff like that. Like I remember walking, I was at the stadium in Houston when I watched that home run go 500 feet. You know what I mean? They say it was 450. I'm saying they're full of shit. I watched
Game 6
in Houston. And that night, the Union lost to LA. The LA.
That's right.
In the cup,
Yeah, the LAFC, not the Galaxy. But 6-5 of all time. A game that would have been ridiculous to watch because you never see that many goals in
11
soccer.
goals in a soccer game is not.
Yeah, it's like the one guy broke his leg. The goalie broke his leg and got a red card. They had only 10 men on the field. It was so many different things that happened in that game too, but I didn't even get to see because I was at the World Series game. And then of course losing the Super Bowl. And watching us having the lead in the halftime and then watching Patrick Mahomes come back and just lead that team. When you saw my video, I didn't blame the referee. I mean, that's easy to do, but I'm like, no, you got to give Patrick Mahomes his flowers here because I don't care how many drugs they gave him to do what he did it and won the game. And that's that. End of story, So, however he did it, if he was the one that coaxed the ref to throw the flag, that's on him. That was just gamesmanship, as far as I'm concerned. We could have did the same thing.
So to tie it back to content, along the way, 2022, you highlight difficult year for these reasons. Are you consistently doing these like post-game moratoriums into the phone and getting a lot of activity?
Only when the season ends.
Only when the season ends.
Yeah, so I'm not doing it like, oh, they won this game. You know what I mean? I typically, I will do a quick excitement video when we win. I will not do a video if we lose.
Okay.
That's just because there's nothing like when you lose a series and you're out of the playoffs and there's no more games to play. When the season is over, you can congratulate, those guys. And I was like, hey, listen, I just said the same thing last year with the Flyers. I was at the last game of the season, and I'm like, listen, these guys are going to be back next year. They're going to be playing harder. They're going to, whatever. They didn't even make the playoffs. But I'm going to show the light at the end of the tunnel rather than be whatever. So I don't have to congratulate somebody else for moving on. I'm just going to say how well or we didn't do. When you're in the playoffs, it's just good sportsmanship too. I mean, that's how I was taught. Hey, you congratulate them and move on, and it sucks. Hey, listen, you lose, but you're going to be playing again.
Well, and fans do crave that the post game again moratorium from other perspectives, and I think the fact that again you kind of give that straightforward, try to give a certain type of look at it instead of just pure anger is differentiated and probably helps a lot. Let's get back to your content strategy. So first things first, you're going to as many games as possible. And while you're there, you're capturing content all along the way or only for a few choice moments?
So I collect it along the way. I don't always use it. In fact, there's a lot that I have like terabytes of footage that have never been seen before.
Another Wes, same thing Wes said
always,
again. It's interesting. Yeah. Okay, and so
and
how much?
Because it's hard. It's hard to do it in the moment. And after the moment passes, if I football games suck with Wi-Fi. So trying to get something out there, and I'm posting it, and then something else happens right away.
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to get that video done and still post and do whatever.
Missing the game.
And I'm I'm missing the game, and I'm not going to do that either. I'm like,
So what do you do?
I do it as best I can, or I just hold on to it.
But you don't have a team. Are you rolling deep with a team to help you with any of this?
No. I wish. It would be so awesome.
I mean, have you thought about it? Like an intern or like having an ambassador
I had an
program?
intern for a little while. The problem was when I had him as I wasn't sure what to have them do. Now I'm a little bit more adept at that. But it becomes you become a micromanager a little bit. Like I haven't learned how to delegate to somebody well enough. For instance, like I'll have my girlfriend come out and she'll take lots of pictures and do videos and everything, but she doesn't post them. So we have all this content that doesn't ever get posted.
Right.
And it's not those moments with me. That's not the content that's really even cool to see. The content is the people, as they come up to take a picture with me and the moment they leave. Because I look at it as 30 seconds, it's 30 seconds that I'm not going to remember, that they're never going to forget.
Right.
And it's those little moments that can get captured in camera that I'm never going to see. But that's the real moment. Like, it's not them taking a picture with me. Most of the time, they're scared. They're nervous.
My 8-year-old is so excited you're here right now. And he first, took a picture with you about 3-4 years ago at the Philly Stadium. And then just a couple weeks ago at the Savannah Bananas. But I'll never forget it. And he just knows you from those few moments. So I understand that that's the most precious content. But in terms of content that moves for you on social, do you have a formula at all? You mentioned the things you say, the opening, the closing. Are there certain things you try to capture? Because you make a really interesting point that at the game, you're trying to be there, you're trying to be present, you're trying to take photos with fans, and the Wi-Fi sucks. And you got all this other content you're sitting on. In a perfect world, what would be the content that if you could just get more of it out there, would travel and move really well?
Like touchdowns, home runs, walk-offs,
just putting up the phone.
Big moments.
I try to do that at the end of every Phillies game. That's a lot easier to do. However, again, it becomes a matter of how quickly can you get it out?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't take it, get it out there, and then also take pictures with people, because at the end of the game, everybody wants to take the picture as I'm going out. So I don't have the time to be able to just, like, even if cut and paste, I don't have the speed to be able to get it out there fast.
How are you cutting a paste? Are you using like CapCut?
Yeah,
or
how are you editing?
I don't do any edits on the fly. Everything is
raw, real.
One take,
Jamie.
all the time.
And if it's good, you'll post it.
No, bad post.
Just everything.
You post.
Yeah.
At the beginning of every game, I'm like, what's up? It's game day. And
So is everything that you're doing a live video? Are you doing anything that you're editing and doing anything?
Very few.
Really?
Few. Commercials.
Like paid sponsorships.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is just you live, day
Interesting.
up, LFG.
How many posts per game typically?
So for a football game, I will try to do like somewhere in the neighborhood 3 or 4. Because there's moments, and then
includes
there's
beginning and end, like walking in and walking out. Or
so I'll do, it's game day. I'm able to typically get myself on the field and do one from there, and I'll show the opposing team, and I bust some balls a little bit, and then then I'll get off and, all right, let's get this posted before the game starts, because the moment the game starts, they throw the blackout on which makes it real hard to get the Wi-Fi. So,
and you're posting it to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all you're doing it and posting it manually to each
in
one
the
of them
moment.
right then and there.
In the moment. Whoa!
Holy shit!
We got to talk, man. I think we can help you out, even if it's just introducing you to some people, something like.
And that's kind of where it becomes. It's like, how do I get the video to somebody else to post it for me?
Right.
Because that's really what it's got to happen.
Right.
And I don't have that capability. And it's
one insight that was buried in there for aspiring sports-related creators would be get there early because the Wi-Fi is better. You said the blackouts when kickoff or first pitch, but before that, your Wi-Fi is better? I never
So
knew that.
yes, the moment the game starts, they typically, the stadiums, and most stadiums do this, will put like a blackout on there. So for instance, T-Mobile is the official NFL thing. So I have a signal, and it, especially at the beginning of a game, it's slow because everybody else is trying to use that same
Right.
signal. As the game goes on, it starts to loosen up
Right.
some. And,
People give up.
Yeah.
They give up trying.
Right.
They do.
Right.
I've noticed that.
But it's
Interesting.
tough to do.
And that's across most stadiums, most sports.
Yeah. So this year I've decided to do something a little different.
Starlink on your backpack.
I'd love to. I was carrying around like a hotspot with me, but
Mhm.
the hotspot needs the
that,
signal.
Right,
So
right.
it's too much to try to do that. And I tried to figure out something with the shoulder pads. It doesn't quite work. And
Yeah.
if they feel wires and stuff like that
Yeah,
on
yeah,
shoulder
yeah,
pads,
yeah.
I don't need.
What does going through security look like when you're dressed up like that?
Well, in the link, it's simple now because they know.
Yeah.
You know, they know who I am. There's no questions. In other stadiums, it depends on how hard they want to be. For instance, last year on my birthday, MetLife Stadium made me take off the shoulder pads. When something like that occurs, it actually jumps my algorithm because everybody wants to see that. They want to see the fact that I listen to the rules. You know,
So who's
I might
filming
be
that?
angry
Other
about the
people?
rule,
Yeah.
but I listen to the rules and
You're
I
abiding.
followed the rule, and I'm still going to be there to root on my team, and it doesn't matter what it is that I look like. Brazil was a big
You went?
example of that. Yes, I went to Brazil, and I had an artist paint my face.
Nice.
Great, like we did the Jesus on the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
And wrote different things in Portuguese and such. And I wasn't allowed in stadium with face paint.
Really? What'd you do?
So the NFL had people there, and they literally were like, listen, if you were going to let one guy go through like this is the guy.
Wow.
And in Portuguese, like they're talking and all that stuff. And they're like, no. And you don't argue with the Brazilian army.
Right. Isn't it green also a little bit of a touchy color
green,
out there?
green's the national color. That stadium, the team that there is their biggest rival is green. So they're not a big fan of that.
Okay.
That being said, everybody wore green because
Right.
it was Green Bay
And
versus
Packers,
whatever.
yeah,
and it is the national color.
Yeah.
So it's
So what did you do? Did you wash your face right there?
I had to wash my face. So this part was now clean because I needed to do the facial recognition.
Oh, that's
That's what it's for.
I see.
So we're getting a little tight on time. Are you good on time for a little?
I'm
longer?
great.
Okay, great. So before we get into some of the bonus content, we'd be remiss not to get into brand deals a little bit with you. Just brand deal stuff, sponsorship stuff. And I know there's only so much you can say. But this, as many creators as we've interviewed now, you're probably around our 10th. And again, we've been in marketing for 20 years apiece. This idea of the negotiation of deals with sponsors and brand deals seems to be the hardest one to figure out for everybody, because I don't think there's an exact science to it. It's just like you got to grow your following, you got to be pretty clever at negotiations, and you got to figure out whether you're reaching out or they're coming to you. So with that said, what can you tell us about like how you're coming across new deals? Is it all inbound or are you doing any outbound?
So I have an agent.
You do have an agent. And when did you pick one up?
I've had that agent now for about 2 years.
And roughly, did he care about follower count?
Yes.
He did?
Yeah.
That's a big metric, right?
Well, because that's what everybody goes off of. So they follower count and views.
And views.
Right.
So there are times football season, my views go through the roof. Like I have a much bigger following. When I was down in Brazil, I made the most I've ever made off of Instagram.
Just for views.
For
and
all the
checks
views.
for views.
Correct.
Because you were in Brazil, because people were kind of living vicariously through you.
Correct. And I was that guy. Like I was like painted up, and then I go run into the ocean. I like literally take off my shirt and run into the ocean and wash all the paint off my face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'm up on, at the Christ the Redeemer, and I'm doing an Eagles chant.
That's so cool. That is fucking great.
But and then I'm like, so all the different things people are watching, and every news channel, every place in Philly had me on. Like, and then other podcasts are like, hey, can you do this little bit for us? Can you do this little bit for us? And, and trying to get my name out there and trying to do more. I was like, all right, I'll do this and do this and do this. But when it came to actually trying to work the deals, I have to pass that off to my agent. I learned that I am not sure what my worth was initially. I have a better idea now, and I was never one that liked to leave money on the table. So there are times when you just got to be like, I need somebody else to tell me what the table looks like.
Yeah.
Does your agent specialize in creators, or does he work in music and film or other stuff?
He works in sports in general. So he has athletes as well. He does have a couple of creators.
You want to give a shout out or keep it quiet?
Buzz Sports.
Buzz Sports.
Buzz Sports.
Name's Buzz.
His name is Josh.
Yeah, shout out Josh.
Josh and Buzz Sports.
Josh and Jason. The hardest parts about doing this, because everybody has different needs, and I wound up getting landing with these guys because of an accident. Like, I wound up being used, my face and my likeness, and they used my "Go Birds," on a commercial for Beasley Media. And that commercial had a casino attached. And I called up, I literally texted the program director at that time, and he don't get back to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I texted him, and within a minute and a half, he called me back. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, let me show you this video that somebody just sent me.
And then somebody painted like you?
They had me.
Oh, it was me. That was complete, like,
it was completely, they used
libel,
me.
all of it, yeah.
And oof. I'm like, listen, I said, I'm not that guy. I'm not a guy who's going to sue. But you got to get me in bed with somebody. I need to have an agent. I need to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And I need somebody who's worthwhile. And he dealt with a lot of the personalities on the radio and stuff like that. And so he's got.
I'm just marveling at your response. You took the guy who ultimately had something to do with this happening in the first place.
He said he didn't have anything to do with it.
But it's his company.
He's the program director. Beasley is Beasley.
And rather than threatening to sue the dog shit out of him, you said, can you connect me with somebody so that this never happens again?
That's
smart.
I knew that I needed it. You got to know what your needs are, and then trying to find an agent. How do you find an agent? Like, you cold call. Like, well, I don't want a cold call. I'm done with that type of stuff. So it's like, all right, let's try to figure it out this way. And I did.
Amazing. And so they just handle everything. It's all inbound, though, I take it. You guys aren't doing any outreach to new prospects?
Oh, no. I'm sure that they do lots of different outreach.
You've got just to cross the T's and dot the I's here. You've got a sponsorship deck, I'd imagine, that you can circulate?
Yes.
For interested. By the way, we'd be curious to take a look at that. We might have some interesting relationships we could send to Josh and not Josh and Buzz. Josh and Jason. Josh and Jason.
Yeah, Josh is like the owner of Buzz Sports, and Jason's like, I guess he would be more like my manager.
You got to have a deck together with your metrics. Are they constantly updating that deck?
100%.
Yeah, because that gets updated daily.
Well, I don't know about daily, but like every other month.
Sure.
Are there platforms that you focus on because they seem to generate the most opportunity?
Instagram pays the best right now.
Instagram.
TikTok's playing with their algorithm, screws me up, and then screwed up. They switched to longer content, and once they switched to you need to have a minute to really start to get paid, it screwed me.
Right.
I was directly affected because it was because of TikTok that I did my content at the 20 to 30 second intervals. Sometimes going as much as 45. Truth of the matter is that if I could do what I could do in 10 seconds, I would love to do it that way because I understand that that's how the algorithm works. Yep. By the time somebody's done watching it, it's already restarted again.
Right.
So you get 2 views for it. So it makes me think that. Those are some of the things that I, wish I could get back with TikTok. But TikTok, I do have the most following.
Uh-huh. where I was actually going with that question, although you answered another good one, is the sponsors. What platform do they want to work with you on? Instagram?
TikTok and Instagram.
It's interesting too, because we get conflicting information on this. You're actually the first one I've talked to that said like sponsors want my short form. Although I think it makes sense for your model. A lot of what we're hearing is sponsors prefer YouTube creators because of the ability to interlace an ad within a longer piece of content. It feels more native to the placement and blah, 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 blah.
But also the audiences, right? Like you're all about the sports and that real time, whereas someone like Adriana with Love Stories is a long form
wedding stuff.
So like those different.
Well, yeah, because it takes longer to show that stuff.
Yeah.
If I was to give myself the one line of what it is that I do, I am a social creator that brings that live experience to people who cannot be there.
Look at that. Whoa, look at that positioning statement right there. And don't say anything else because there's nothing else. That's great. That was a great.
And that's the business. That's
the
what's
business.
going on. Like that's what I have to do. And I feel like that I do it best. And it's because I've been so good at it and because I am everywhere. And people say they see me everywhere. You want to know how you get seen everywhere? You got to be everywhere. And it sucks. There are days that I don't want to go to work, you know, and it's the job.
You'd rather watch it on the couch sometimes.
Sometimes, you know, but you know what? Truth of the matter is
Buck
that
up.
I got to be there. It's like you got to go to work and you got to put in the time. And the moment I get out there, I'm back to me again.
Yeah.
Like it's like I love the work. It's the people that actually give me the energy sometimes to do it that I don't have when I don't have the energy to do it.
It's like a musician, right? Like I'm sure they don't want to gig out 250 days out of the year,
Right.
but they get up on stage and those lights hit and you feel that like you have an obligation to your people.
Exactly. And that's what makes me probably the most photographed person in the city, if not the country. You know, and I say that quietly because I don't have a paparazzi following me, but I do take like for games, I'll take anywhere from like 300 pictures at a minimum to as many as like 5,000 pictures.
And you're going to 200 games. So like, I'm not very good at math. So AI do the math for me. That's a lot of fucking pictures.
Yeah.
In 2022, a college used me as the example. And it was, I think it was a biology class. And at least this is what I was told. And that they said that if I was the person who was carrying COVID, how quickly would I have? Well, it's funny, but when you hear it, it becomes a thing because it's like
if I was patient zero,
if I was patient zero,
shit,
and I was carrying COVID in the month of from October 1st to November 15th of 2022, how quickly would I have infected the world?
Jeez.
And the truth of the matter is that I had gone to like 7 different locations. I had taken anywhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 60,000 pictures and probably touched close to 1 million people just between maybe walking by them or
hand
high
on
fives,
shoulder, some
hugs,
whatever,
handshakes, all that. Like
wow,
literally that I would have infected. They said I would have infected the world in possibly like 2 months.
So what you're saying is Purell needs to reach out to Buzz Sports for your next sponsorship
They
deal.
could very well be. I'm very clean, and
the Philly sports guy on hand washing
and vitamins. Vitamins. I'm really big on the vitamins.
I bet zinc. You using the zinc and the vitamin C? I'm guessing.
I do.
Vitamin D.
Vitamin
D3K2.
I do the D. I do.
You do the D, huh?
That's a point right there.
Tell us more.
Yeah, I mean we're middle-aged guys here. We're on the vitamin tip.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm big on the B complex.
Okay.
B
Oh
complex
yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
All
right. Well, so before we go to bonus content, Steven?
I think we have to go to bonus content.
Yeah. Well, I just want to know before we get to that, like, what's next for the Philly sports guy?
Well, October is going to be my busiest month, but
Hell yeah.
I mean the Eagles are about to begin, so it's like between that September, October is going to get crazy. The Flyers start in October as well. The Sixers at the very end of October, start in November.
I mean, movie appearances, launching a new TV show.
So
web series.
Yes, there is a movie appearance that
Is there? Tell us more.
So there was the first movie filmed in Delaware since Dead Poet Society.
Oh, I love that movie.
It was filmed and should be coming out sometime in the next few months.
Nice.
It's I think I'm allowed to say the name. I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let us know
It's
if we need to
called the Conspiracists.
Okay.
It's a movie about creating a conspiracy theory convention.
Hmm.
And
And,
like a
and you have a speaking role?
I think they have me saying something over there, but it was like I had a couple of conspiracies like that. I was one of the people in the convention where I was talking about how somebody got a whole bunch of dry ice for the fog bowl, and that's dry ice in a fan
Right.
to put the fog on, or that at the time we just lost the Super Bowl, so
Right.
I grabbed some dirt and made it really wet. It's like, see, the
Uh-huh.
soil's still wet,
Right.
from
Right.
it's all conspiracies.
That's exciting.
Well, good
though.
luck. Congratulations.
That's really exciting.
I don't know where it'll go. Like now with movies, they go to Amazon or
Right.
Netflix or
We'll
whatever.
see at Blockbuster.
But yeah, that'd be awesome. There's still one, right?
There is one. There is one.
And I do different speaking engagements.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's
We
the
never got
other
back to
thing.
that.
Right now I do a lot. I do probably most of the things that come in are with schools.
Yeah.
And talking about living your passion.
Mm-hmm.
Or I have a program that talks about bullying that involves other super fans. It was like one of these things that I'm trying to get up off the ground.
Like a nonprofit?
And so it's so hard to deal with nonprofit. I'm so bad with money that I don't want to play that game. I don't want to have that type of watchful eye, because I don't have somebody who's going to be like, oh yeah, this is like, where's every dollar going? And I don't know how that all works. So I don't want to even try to play that game. But it's like a nonprofit because everything's going to go to somewhere. All that money's going to go to somewhere, including my pocket. But my thought is that I wanted to be able to take that on the road, that wherever the Eagles are, I could go a couple of days early
that's
and
smart.
talk to high schools or middle
Cool.
schools. And when I go out there yelling "Go Birds" and I get the boo, it's such a great segue to talk about bullying, because it's an automatic thing. Right now, cops are the ones that are brought in. You don't get arrested for bullying. It could lead to that, but it's not as relatable. And sports are relatable to everybody, especially kids that impressionable.
Yeah.
So you bring in somebody with a painted face or another one of the local super fans, and you say that we're all one people, and it changes the message incredibly. And it's tough to get up off the ground because people are very protective of their schools right now. So they have a certain amount of money, and you got to work with budgets and things like that. So it's hard to.
I love that angle for you. One of the things we've learned across the various creator interviews is until you get really big, you're getting there, if not there already, it's really hard to sustain yourself off the views alone. So you have to have another angle. Now for you, it's embedded in, the sponsorships. I don't know. Do you get paid for the actual appearances at the games? No, right?
Not like that.
No.
I have contract obligations, and I like for away games, I have a sponsor for
Right.
sports trips.
Right, right.
And so they pay for me to go to games, and I get money each month.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So there's checks for views, and then there's checks for brand deals, but still, even for mid-level creators, it's not quite enough. So to have either a product that you build off of this, Mike Desmarais Evolve Inc., or you have tours and travel that you bolt on with your fan base. 2 guys on a plane. They use a great tool called I'll pull it up in a second. Or in your case, speaking engagements. Natalie Brunel from Coin Story, she's in the Bitcoin space, killing it. She's subsidizing her income with speaking engagements. I think it's really key for these mid-level creators. They're like, I want to do this full time. I can't figure out how to turn it into a real business. Those are 3 of your key options right there.
you have to hustle.
You gotta work your ass off. It's not
This
easy.
is a hustle. This is a job.
Your
And I
creative hustle.
think that's the one thing that people didn't understand right away. They were thinking that I'm getting
Right.
every door just opened for me,
Right.
and everything was so simple the haters were rough.
Haters gonna hate, yeah.
You know, and I had to learn not to read anymore. Like I can't read any of the
the comments.
Yeah, like I like the comments, and I just got to move on. Like I write out these long
that could
posts.
be a real mental health drain.
Well, not
going
only
through
that, but it would cost you money.
yeah,
Like because now, like because somebody else was bullying me in the message that they left, and I called them a dummy.
yeah.
You know, like because I'm trying to dumb
Right,
it down
right.
as little as possible. Now I'm the bully,
Right.
and I get blocked for a
Right,
week.
Right.
So
Or you
now
might lose
all-
a brand deal. or you
Yeah,
might
I'm
lose
not-
something. So it's not even worth it at that point.
Exactly. At this,
So do you just ignore?
I ignore them. Yeah, now, you know, now it goes the opposite way. There are other people that come take those battles on for me.
Yeah,
I don't
you have your
squad.
super fans, which is the irony. Now you have super fans.
You know, and it took a while. You know, it definitely was. But people
Created an MLM.
Multi-level marketing. So,
Yeah.
well, you've got 2 new super fans today.
Totally.
I
Jamie.
appreciate that.
Thank you so much. That was an incredible interview. And we can't wait to get it live so everybody can learn more about you. You got a couple minutes to stick around for bonus content?
Let's do it.
All right, let's have some fun.
Bitch.